The artists who were sent to depict the Russian offensive carry out their assignment. Their pictures bear the stamp of defeat. By early December 1941, the German offensive is halted outside Moscow. Defeat soon becomes catastrophe. Shortly afterward, the United States is drawn into the war. As 1941 fades to a close, Hitler senses that the war has reached its turning point. The proposed objectives lack material support. Hitler's vision of world dominance begins to waver. All that remains now is the Third Reich's death throes, an agony in slow motion. A secondary war objective begins to take shape, the annihilation of the Jews. At a conference in Wannsee on January 20th, 1942, the fate of European Jewry is sealed. Plans for the final solution to the Jewish question are drawn up. The German Jews had long clung to their belief in German culture. Their hope dwelt in the Germany of Goethe and Schiller. Here, they believed, was a bulwark against barbarism. In 1933, the Jews made up less than 1% of the German population. 500,000 people. By 1941, more than half of these had fled the country. The 11 million European Jews never quite sensed the coming disaster. The unthinkable was incomprehensible. The other Germany had fled into silence or exile. For a good while now, the Third Reich had been killing people to make way for the new culture. By autumn of 1941, within the T4 program, over 70,000 mental patients had been gassed. But soon difficulties arose. Several of the euthanasia facilities were located near good-sized towns. The smoke from the crematoria could be plainly seen. Locks of hair wafted upward through the chimneys only to land on the streets. Drunken T4 personnel blabbered in nearby taverns. Rumors circulated about which illnesses the program dealt with. Word was that brain-damaged soldiers would share the fate of the insane. Protests from the German clergy fueled the apprehension. The fact that rumors were being spread in wartime about the liquidation of wounded soldiers was unacceptable. In August 1941, Hitler stops the more conspicuous aspects of the program. After that, the secrecy around extermination policy was tightened. Following the troops advancing eastward, special SS units, the so-called Einsatzgruppen, had the task of systematically shooting Jews, gypsies, and political commissars. This action was only meant as a stopgap. 11 million Jews could hardly be disposed of in this way. The organization which Hitler trusted to carry out extermination, the SS, were the avant-garde of Nazism. It was the cream of society. Lawyers, physicians, and other educated men that SS leader Himmler recruited to its hierarchy. An ideal example of this selection is Reinhard Heydrich, a skillful fencer, an avid violinist, and one of the pioneers of the extermination policy. On July 31, 1941, Heydrich receives written orders from Goering to carry out all measures necessary to the final solution of the Jewish question. In autumn 1941, Himmler and Heydrich name SS Captain Herbert Lange to carry out the next phase of the extermination in the East. Lange had experience of execution by gas. For the euthanasia program, he had tested a new method in East Prussia, gas vans. Using 3 of these vehicles in Kumhof, not far from Lodz, Lange will set up the first extermination camp in history. The vans serve as both gas chambers and transport trucks. The motor's exhaust is pumped into the boot. The victims are driven a short way, then dumped, and pitched directly into mass graves. The SS-2 is obliged to care for the body of the folk on 2 fronts.
Alle Tuberkulosekranken möglichst frühzeitig zu erfassen, ist der Röntgensturmbahn der SS eingesetzt. Mit eigenen Röntgenapparaten fährt in alle Gaue, Reihenuntersuchungen durchzuführen.
The SS doctors and X-ray buses tour ethnic German areas in Poland.
Alle Volksgenossen sollen vor den Röntgenschirm kommen, damit jede Infektionsquelle rechtzeitig erkannt wird.
While at the same time in Kumhof, the gas vans shuttled to and fro. SS personnel with white coats and stethoscopes take in patients for treatment. The discovery of the Jewish microbe, Hitler says, is one of the greatest revolutions the world has known. The struggles of Pasteur and Koch must be carried on by us today. Countless diseases have but one microbe as their cause, the Jew. We shall be healthy when we have eliminated the Jews. This statement was made in February 1942. At about the same time, Christian Firth, who installed gas chambers for the T4 euthanasia program, is ordered to put his knowledge at the SS disposal. Wirth considered Lange with his gas vans to be an amateur. Wirth now begins building the first stationary gas chambers in the East. On March 17th, the staff at Belzec death camp received the first victims. The gas chambers are copies of the T4 facilities with greater capacity. In quick succession, the death camps of Sobibor and Treblinka are built. In the meantime, a new method was emerging, one that would eclipse the other 2 completely. At Auschwitz, tests were being made with an insecticide based on cyanide. Immediately after the German invasion of Poland, a film team commissioned by Goebbels to make a propaganda film arrived in the occupied territories. The film was shot in the squalor of the Jewish ghettos. On November 28, 1940, the film opens at one of Berlin's largest cinemas. The audience consists of representatives of the party, the army, the arts and the sciences. Here, the campaign against the Jews reaches its zenith. This is the end of the propaganda war, the beginning of mass extermination.
Immer dort, wo sich an einem Volkskörper eine Wunde zeigt, setzen sie sich fest und ziehen aus dem zerfallenen Organismus ihre Nahrung. Mit den Krankheiten der Völker machen sie ihre Geschäfte und darum sind sie bestrebt, alle Krankheitszustände zu vertiefen und zu verewigen. So ist es in Polen, so war es in Deutschland. So haben die Juden es in ihrer ganzen Geschichte gemacht.